Yo guys, what's good? Will Witt here with Will Witt Live. Sorry, as you guys know, I'm still trying to upload this Instagram story right now so that you guys can swipe up on Instagram to watch this. I'm also going to be posting a lot of updates about this podcast, about everything we do at PragerU on my Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Snapchat, everything. So if you're not following me on all these platforms, you can see up in the corner over here is my social media as well as PragerU's social media. Guys, but today is a very big day, okay? We have a new guest. Nikki, would you like to say hello?
No, hi though.
Okay, so this is Nikki. Taylor was let go because he wasn't very good at doing this podcast, so we had to let him go, and now we've replaced him with Nikki. So everyone say hi to Nikki. She's great. She's a social media manager here at PragerU. Nikki, do you enjoy working? And she has sound effects too. Do you enjoy working at PragerU, Nikki?
It's a dream. Really, because of you, though, Will.
I know. Thank you.
You make it what it is.
Oh, she was paid to say that. Regardless, Nikki is going to be helping out today. But I wanted to give a shout out to a few people. First one was a guy named Adam who sent me this in the mail. Said Washington Witt. It's a Washington Redskins logo, but with me instead, which is very nice. I didn't have time to put it up on the wall today. And then I want to give a shout out to Bobby Lee, who sent me this very, very nice letter. And you also sent me Chick-fil-A gift cards for me and Taylor. And now, since Taylor's not here, he's on vacation. People take vacation still. He is not getting this gift card, and I'm taking his Chick-fil-A from him. So I hope he's happy with that. Anyway, thank you guys for all the kind comments, for the nice things you send. I do really appreciate it. It helps, keep me motivated to know that I'm doing something good and that you guys are liking this podcast. So if you do enjoy this, make sure that you go on Apple Podcasts and you rate this podcast 5 stars. You can also go and leave a nice comment. I really appreciate it. And if you want to send me something, you can go to PragerU.com/contact. Nikki, if you want to put that in the comments below so you guys can see that. PragerU.com/contact. That's PragerU's P.O. Box, and you guys can send us something there if you want to send me any fan mail or Chick-fil-A gift cards or, something for Nikki since she's new. What do you like, Nikki? If someone were to send you something, what would you like?
A hand-drawn portrait of Will Witt.
A hand-drawn portrait of Will Witt. Nikki, don't be weird. Okay? Okay, guys,
spot, man.
Let's get into what we're talking about today. First things first is that I have canker sore on the tip of my tongue, and so if you can't tell, my speaking it's like it hurts to talk doing this, but I'm pushing through it because I love you guys and I want to do this podcast. So regardless of the canker sores, if you guys have any at-home remedies, I would love that too. And it's a canker sore, not a cold sore, so not giving this to anyone. It runs in my family. Everyone in my family gets bad canker sores. I drink a glass of orange juice and I'll get a canker sore. If I have a lemon, canker sore. It's terrible. I can't enjoy the things that I like anymore. It's really, it really sucks. Anyway, Nikki's laughing over here. Nikki, you have to hold your composure. Taylor always held his composure. I want to get into talking about our Back the Blue campaign with PragerU before we get into some of the stuff. Today we're talking about Portland riots, talking about millennials and wealth gaps and things like that. But I want to talk about our PragerU Back the Blue campaign first. If you guys have been following PragerU or following me, then you know very well what this is. Police officers right now are getting dragged through the mud. All across social media, we have protesters, we have rioters, people all over this country, people wanting to defund the police. The police officers are not being treated with the respect that they deserve. Every single day, these police officers leave their homes, they leave their families, and they don't know whether or not they're going to come back. They are doing the job to protect our community and to keep us safe, and the disdain that people are showing for them is absolutely disgraceful. And so we at PragerU, seeing what has been happening with the police officers in this country, decided to go and create a campaign to show our support for them. And we've done incredibly well with the campaign. We have a thank you letter. If you guys go to prageru.com/defend the police, Nikki will put in the exact link because I don't know if that's the exact link, but on prageru.com you can find it. We have a thank you letter for the cops, for the police, that you can go and sign your name on. So far we've gotten 60,000 people who have gone on and put their names thanking the police, what they've done for this country. We really appreciate it for all you guys going on there, and the police officers who are going to get this special note, who are going to get visits from us at PragerU all across the country at their police stations, appreciate it even more than we do. So prageru.com, go check it out. Leave a nice comment, a thank you for police officers. And also you can go on your social media. You can do hashtag back the blue, hashtag defend the police. These are hashtags that PragerU is using for our campaign to show our support. You can also text back the blue, one word, to 64600. And then PragerU is going to send you some, I guess what you say, a toolkit, some materials for you so that you can take some of our images that we've been using for our Back the Blue campaign. You can post them on your own social media as well. Show your support for the police on your own social media. Show them that, despite people across this country rioting, destroying the cities and what's been going on, that you're not going to be silent about what you believe in and that you're not going to be silent about you supporting the police. And of course, we always want to put it out there that there are cops who do bad things in this country, but the vast majority of them are good police who are helping keep us safe, and we want to show our support for them. It's very, very important stuff. And so today we're talking about the Portland riots, which ties exactly into this Back the Blue campaign. There are people all over Portland right now. You guys, if you have a Twitter or, go online at all, you've probably seen some of these videos of Antifa protesters going out, destroying government institutions, federal buildings all across Portland. I mean, there are literally thousands of them all dressed in black, and they are doing this because of the police. They want to defund the police. They think the police are terrible. And so there's been a lot of mixed opinions about this entire movement going on right now. A lot of the people on the left still claim they are peaceful protesters and they are just trying to show their support for getting the racist police out of their communities. But as videos don't lie, we've seen these protesters not just attack federal buildings and government institutions for this. They've been going to malls. They've been attacking people on the streets, journalists. I mean, it's just been all over, and I'm sure that these things are only going to continue to get worse, not just in Portland, but across the country as a whole. And so right now, we have a guy named Ami Horowitz. You guys know who Ami Horowitz is? He's done some videos for PragerU. He's a man on the street guy who's older than me and with less hair and not as attractive. But he's a very smart guy. Regardless, I really like Ami. Ami Horowitz helped me. He helped direct the last mini documentary that I did, Fleeing California. If you guys have seen that, he helped direct on that and write story for that with me, and it was incredibly successful. And a lot of it was because of his hard work and what he did with us. So, but he is live in Portland now, so he's there, and we're gonna hop on a Zoom call if I can get this thing to actually work, and we're gonna talk to him for what he's seen, because I know he's already seen some absolutely crazy things. So let's get this started. Here we go.
I'll pull up one of
Setting
Ami's
this
recent
up.
videos in the meantime.
Yeah, feel free to put one of his recent videos with PragerU. You can put it in the comments down below. Don't check it out now, okay? You guys are watching. You guys are supposed to be watching the podcast, but you can watch it later. Okay, I think that he is in. Ami! Wait, you gotta turn on your audio. Yeah, now we can hear you. Word, what's going on, man? Yeah. I was just telling people on the podcast how you're more attractive than me. And the better hair, definitely. Ami and I have had some really good times. Ami and I have had some really good times doing the Fleeing California documentary. I was just explaining people about that and how that whole process went, making that. And it took a long time, longer than expected, but we had a fantastic product and we were all super happy with it. And now Ami is in Portland, right? And so, what is going on with Portland now? What are you seeing being there now? One sec, Ami. We might be having a little bit trouble hearing you. Let me see real quick. Yeah, get closer. We want to see your beautiful face, Ami. That's much better. Yeah, let me see. I think I can turn up. You have headphones? That might be a lot better, actually. Let's try that. Anyway, what Ami was saying is that he is in Portland right now, and he says that during the day it's pretty much completely normal, but at night at around 9 o'clock it gets absolutely crazy. Okay, cool. How are you guys doing today? I'm sorry this isn't working so well. We are trying to figure this out. This is the first time, you guys have been watching my podcast. If you've watched every single episode, you know that this is the first time I've had a guest on the podcast.
We really miss Taylor.
You missed Yeah, you can blame Nikki for this. This is because of Nikki that this is happening right now with the audio. Is that better for people? We're going to see if that's better for everyone. You guys can let me know if that's any better or if it's worse. I don't actually know. Yes, please. Yes, please project as much as you can, Ami. You're a soft-spoken guy. Okay, so tell us some more about what's happening in Portland. No. Yeah, I think so. But they're not. It's not just federal buildings that they're trying to destroy, right? I saw a video of them at a mall trying to destroy there. Is that accurate? Are they not just destroying federal buildings? Are they rioting and looting in other places? I totally believe that. What is the worst thing that you saw here last night when you were there? Did anything happen to you?
couple of times of the course of my career, and I was gassed this time, but this time's way worse. Wow, they really amped up what this thing is like. What they do is they have this. So the way this dance would happen was, you don't see any federal officers at all. First of all, the Portland police, they're not there. I don't see a single Portland police officer. They have let the lunatics run the asylum. That's why we have to have a federal presence there, because there literally isn't any Portland police officers trying to create calm in this place. So what you have is there's no one there when the protests begin. All the federal officers are inside. They're not trying to cause trouble until the protesters begin to actually attack the building. When their attack happens, they begin dispersing gas first out of the building, and then it pushes people back, and then the soldiers come out, or the federal officers come out. They're attacked by the protesters physically, and then they begin to deploy the different kinds of gases. They have pepper spray and other kinds of gas. And I gotta say, it is not a great. It is no bueno, man. So you're first of all, it's all chaos. We're trying to run away from it, and you're blinded for about 45 seconds. You can't breathe for about 30 seconds, and then your legs become jelly, so just fall down. It's crazy. You have to get up, kind of run out, and fall down again until you're clear of a kind of noxious, mushroom of this thing, and you can start breathing again. It's pretty nuts. So you have that. And by the way, I'm not saying in any way, shape, or form that's not the proper way to do it. That's the most humane way you can possibly disperse a crowd. I've got no issue, even though I was gassed, I have no issue with it whatsoever. I think it's totally fine. Less fine was the fact that I got kind of discovered about an hour or two in, and then people were throwing glass bottles at the soldiers, and then when they go in, it's all littered in glass. They start picking up handfuls of glass and just chucking it at me. So that was my experience. Par for the course.
I didn't even know that people knew who you were, and then they recognized you.
Dude, another dig. Another one. Jeez. What's up with you, Will? Why do I even do this show?
Just for the clout, because you do these PragerU videos, and I know you got other videos coming out. Is there any other videos that you wanted to talk about that you have upcoming?
This one's gonna be great, man. This one's gonna. I know we're gonna shoot there tonight again. Hopefully, I can wear a mask and hopefully disguise myself a little bit. But yeah, I think this video is gonna be epic. It's gonna be epic, man. I don't know when it'll be out, but I'm sure I'll be talking about it on Dennis' show.
Cool.
For sure.
Yeah. All right, man. That's about all we got. I'm sorry that the audio didn't work out too well, but thanks for joining us. And although
Pretty face, man. When I have to stay,
I know, that's literally all it is. So if anything ever happens, we'll be canceling you immediately. All right, man. Talk to you later. All right, let's see. Okay, guys. We're back. I don't know why the audio didn't work that well. Are you guys looking at the audio now, trying to check it out? I think it was a problem on here with the Zoom thing. I don't think it was necessarily because of his audio or something. I think it was because of the computer. So, but I appreciate you guys. Sorry, we just had a team come in. This has been the most convoluted podcast so far, where I have 3 new people trying to help me on this, and Taylor does everything right every time, and now I have to have 3 people in here who can't figure anything out. Thank you, Nikki, for that.
It's the one thing I can contribute.
Nikki contributes sounds to the podcast, which is really important.
Well, you could recap for everybody what Ami was saying.
Yeah, I'm going to go through and talk about some of these things that he was talking about. So if you guys didn't hear, or you guys haven't seen some of these videos, I'm going to end this Zoom meeting real quick so that I can show you guys some of these videos that are actually from Portland right now, so you guys can see actually firsthand what's happening there, so that you don't have to just believe me. Here's a video of someone who rammed a car into a federal building, or I believe it's a federal building, so that other people could get in.
Got it. Ready to get away? Did you get that? Got it.
So you guys see that? And then they just drive off. They go and do that, and they crash into the building, and then they just go and drive off. Is that not just insane to you? The level of respect that these people have for their actual community is nothing. And it's also shocking to me that you see normal people who probably aren't Antifa or one of the protesters just walking around, and they're just kind of like, I guess this is the new normal. This is what we deal with now, living in a city like Portland or Seattle or Los Angeles. Like, this is just normal to them every single day. And so we're seeing things like this, and then I'm going to show you the video of the people at the mall in Portland who were, well, I guess you'll see it for yourself with this video. So this was them in Portland protesting. If you guys didn't see the video or you're listening to this later, it was people, all Antifa people and protesters all around throwing things into a large fire. It looked like they were burning mostly cardboard boxes. I don't know what else they were burning, the patriarchy maybe, and among other things. But the thing that I was talking about, I was on a Christian broadcast network the other day talking about police and defunding the police and everything. Excuse me. And I think the main message that these people are trying to get across has been completely lost. And I think that once you start burning things and rioting and looting in the streets and going crazy in the streets, you are losing basically everything that you were pushing for in the first place. Okay, so before we were talking about George Floyd's death, and people were going out and they were protesting George Floyd's death and his murder and everything like that. And it's like, okay, that was like a fine thing to do. You guys had a clear message, you had a clear goal, and you wanted to go on and protest for it. I mean, that seems pretty understandable to me. And I think a lot of conservatives were in tandem with a lot of people on the left saying, yes, George Floyd shouldn't have been killed this way. I mean, that was a terrible thing that happened to him, and Chauvin should be served justice because of the actions that he had, right? And then it started getting a little more crazy, and some people started rioting and looting in the streets. We saw this all over the country, but it was still, about George Floyd and, defunding the police, and it started to wane a little bit, but their main idea was still there. And now, what it seems like here in Portland, other cities across America where they are still protesting, they are still rioting, they are still looting, they are still destroying, hurting people, attacking police and federal officers, their main message has been pretty much lost. I mean, I can't really even tell you what these people are fighting for anymore. I doubt that they can tell you what they're fighting for anymore. If you look at this, you look at that video that I just played before, and you see how many of these people are actually white people going and screaming Black Lives Matter. It's pretty hilarious to actually see that these are the people. It would be funny, actually, if it wasn't so sad that that's the state of America, that you have all these white people going and getting offended for black people who aren't out protesting themselves. Also, I'm pretty sure Portland is a very white city. Wait, you're not... Oh, you're from Seattle.
Yes, sir.
Not Portland.
No.
But you spent time in Portland.
Yes.
Okay, do you like Portland?
Sure.
Sure? Nikki?
It's not Seattle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's
People
nice,
like to
right?
compare the two, but
Yeah.
Seattle's got its own vibe.
Yeah. Okay, so Portland isn't Seattle. But regardless, Portland has, all these people going out and protesting, and it seems like their main message is lost. But if you go on the Black Lives Matter website and you see what they're actually fighting for, the things that they actually want, one of the major things that really stuck out to me about this was on the website. It says we want to dissolve the Western nuclear family. It's on their website. You can go find it there, unless they took it down in the last few days, but it was on there when I just checked last. And they want to get rid of the Western nuclear family in America. When you hear that an organization wants to get rid of families in America, what does that make you think? Does that make you think of an organization who has their priorities together, who want the best for this country? Or does it sound like an organization who wants to destroy everything this country was founded on? Many of these people who are leftists and who are rioting and protesting will say, oh, we love America, but we just want to change it. We just want to radically transform it. And, Dennis uses the line in saying, if you have a wife and you love her, but you want to radically transform her, you can't really say that you love your wife. It's a funny line, but it's also very true. So these people claim that they love this country, but they want to radically transform it, destroying all of the values that make America what it is, what make America America. And I think that's a big fault. And I wish, that these people who are going out and protesting and doing this stuff in Portland and destroying the cities would actually, have a more clear message in mind. Because then, maybe we could actually have a intellectual debate about some of their ideas, or one of their leaders could come and talk and say, this is what we actually believe and this is what we want. But it seems like it's gotten so far just to destroy things because they want to destroy things because they were locked up inside because of coronavirus for 3 months, and now they're just going crazy in the streets because of it. And that's really what they're doing. I don't see a clear purpose, and that's honestly even more upsetting than, them protesting something with a purpose at all. So yeah, the Portland stuff is crazy, and it's also crazy about the federal officers that are going to Portland right now, where people on the left are saying that this is fascism, that Trump and the administration are literally Nazis for sending troops into Portland to stop this. You guys just saw that video that I showed. There is people are literally being attacked on the streets. Ami was just, if you guys heard him before, I'm recapping what he said, but he got gassed in the streets of Portland for being there because he got found out. He was having glass thrown at him and bottles thrown at him because they found out, who he was. And so you think, and the Portland police, he said, are nowhere to be found. That's, Ami saying that. So maybe there are some Portland police around. I'm not going to say that there aren't, but from his experience, he's saying there aren't. And other people I've talked to, they're saying they're not really around either. And so what do you expect a city to do? Just have total anarchy and burn itself to the ground, have the Antifa run the city? We saw what happened in the Chaz zone before, where they had their little section of the city and how that got shut down and how successful they were with that. But it seems like in Portland right now, this seems to be even worse. And it seems to be like an even bigger movement. So I am totally in favor of federal troops coming in and putting a stop to this madness. I don't know what else they're going to do when the police are sitting there and not doing anything and their city is burning, and all the politicians who are in Portland are saying, oh, this is so great that we have people getting their voices out there and heard, and that if you send federal troops to our city, it's fascism and you're a Nazi. It's like, of course you need to send someone in there to get these things done, to actually take care of your city, because not every single person living in Portland is a Black Lives Matter Antifa supporter. They're trying to go to work. They want to go to their jobs. They want to see their families. But when you have a group of people out in the streets burning a building that maybe you work in, or lighting a car on fire in the street when you're trying to get home, of course you need to send someone in to put a stop to this. It is not Nazi Germany again because we are sending people in to stop committing often violent crimes in their city. It is doing the right thing to actually put a stop to this madness going on in Portland right now. So those are my thoughts about it. Nikki, good thoughts?
Good thoughts.
Anything else I should bring up about that? Taylor usually tells me.
Taylor's better than me.
Yes, he is, but that's okay. Listen, we all have our strengths in this world. Number two. Nikki's actually doing a very good job. And remember, guys, I'm going to answer your questions at the end of this live. So if you have any questions, make sure you drop them down below so that Nikki can take them, put them in my sheet, and then I can answer your guys' questions. But first, we have to answer the Prager Force question. This is before we get into the next part of this podcast. We have to answer the Prager Force question. This is from Sophia Dougal. I think that's how you say her name. It could be Dougal or Dougal. Dougal, like French? I don't know. But anyway, her question was thoughts on brands, big corporations, colleges, kid shows, etc. promoting Black Lives Matter. My tongue hurts. Anyway, I think that it's a terrible thing. But I don't necessarily always blame these companies so much for supporting Black Lives Matter, or, like we work out here in Los Angeles, okay? And I drive down Hollywood Boulevard, or I drive down, Ventura Boulevard, wherever I might be in California. And the amount of businesses I see with a BLM thing in their window, and this was maybe a little more prominent before, but, they have their wood planks up and they write BLM on it, or they have a sign that says, we support Black Lives Matter, whatever it may be, to be honest, I doubt that this sandwich shop on the corner really supports Black Lives Matter that much. Maybe they do. I could be wrong, okay? But when it's so many of them, I really think they're just posting it so that their windows don't get broken in, okay? If Antifa protesters walk by and they see that you have a thing that says, we support Black Lives Matter, they would probably be, less inclined to actually destroy your business. Excuse me. And so when you have people out in the world where you have businesses right now, colleges, whatever it might be, saying they support Black Lives Matter, there are, of course, people who support the movement Black Lives Matter, the organization Black Lives Matter. But for the most part, most of these people are just kind of doing it as, like, at least I think, a social credit kind of thing, where they want to prove to people that I think Black Lives Matter, and, I also don't want to be targeted for saying I don't support Black Lives Matter. They might not even have a very strong opinion, but they're going to say that they support Black Lives Matter anyway because, it's a morally and right thing to do right now in the popular lexicon in America. So everyone's kind of going on and saying they support Black Lives Matter, not really standing up, and they're just doing it for easy virtue points. And I don't blame a lot of people. You don't want your business destroyed. You don't want people to say horrible things about you for not posting a black square, whatever it may be. So I totally get it, but I still think it's bad, and I think that, you should never cow to the mob, especially when the mob is trying to destroy America as we know it, and you love this country. Despite your politics, you could not even be, like, obviously I'm a conservative, but you could not be a conservative person at all. I know, there are lots of people who are either neutral or moderate or don't even know anything about politics or, more liberal, who absolutely love this country, who love America, and who aren't just some far leftists. And although you don't agree with, everything that a PragerU says or what I say or Ben Shapiro, whatever it might be, there are people who want to destroy the way you live. There are people who want to destroy this country, literally, and they are succeeding because they are winning in every single cultural battle. They are winning in every single cultural front. Hollywood, media, universities, they're winning in all of these places. So if you believe that America is a great country and it's worth saving, it doesn't really matter where your political affiliation is. You should be standing up and saying something about it, standing up and saying what you actually believe. Okay, here's a good one today. Okay, I was supposed to do this opening monologue before, but then Ami, he could only come on at a certain time to do this interview, and so we had to work it around him, and then his audio sucked, and so now we're in a rock and a hard place with probably the least successful audio episode we've had. Taylor's online, he's watching this? What a loser. Taylor is watching this podcast from, where is he, Florida right now?
Yes.
Taylor, I can't believe you. I hope you are upset sitting there watching this right now, knowing what has happened to this dumpster fire of a podcast. That's okay. That's okay. I hope you guys are still enjoying this and things are good. Are people enjoying this still, Nikki? Good? Are you reading the comments?
Best ever.
Best ever? Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that very helpful encouragement. I wanted to talk today in my opening monologue about millennials and millennials' money and what is going on with millennials and their money. It's very important because I guess you could say I'm Gen Z. I'm Gen Z and millennial because I'm in 1996 when I was born, so I'm practically a Gen Zer and a millennial. It's like they're like together that year. So I don't know what I am. You know what I mean. It's fine. Okay, I'm a Gen Z and millennial, but we're talking about millennials' money right now. And if you look at these charts, which I didn't have time to download, but I can just tell you the numbers. You look at the charts of how much wealth millennials own in this country in comparison to the baby boomers, in comparison to Gen X, and you look at by the age of 35 how much wealth they own. By the age of 35, baby boomers own 21% of the wealth in this country. By 35 years old, Gen Xers owned 9% of the wealth, and as of now, millennials own 3.2% of all the wealth in this country. Only 3.2%. Now, they're still a couple of years off from being 35 years old. I think about 2023, millennials will officially be 35 years old, roughly on average. So they still have a few years left. But 3.2% of the nation's wealth right now compared to what baby boomers owned at the age of 35, which is 21% of the nation's wealth. And to me, this seems to be a huge problem that I'm not seeing a whole lot of people talk about. I don't think that your politicians have your best interests at heart to actually talk about the root of these issues, to talk about why this is happening. I did hear Tucker Carlson talking about this actually about a year ago, which I thought he did a really good job on, and that's why I'm such a huge fan of Tucker Carlson. But I wanted to break down some of these things on why I think that this is actually happening. And I talked about this idea actually to the CMO here. Here, Craig. I talked about this idea. I said, I'm going to talk about this. And he's like, that's not even relevant. No one even wants to hear about that. And I said, it is relevant, okay? It's always relevant because I'm a millennial and I, don't have tons of money. And there are lots of things happening with people all my age who have, less money than me or more money than me, whatever. But saving money as a millennial is very hard, okay? The main problem that I've seen going on right now, sorry, I'm going to take some water real quick before we get into this powerful rant. The main problem is globalization, okay? Globalization is destroying this country and it's making it so that people don't have the opportunities that they would otherwise, okay? Now, millennials not having all their money, I do have to, put a little blame on us. We are lazier. We do spend our money more poorly than past generations. You know, we buy a ton of avocado toast. We buy tons of lattes. We buy BMWs that we can't afford. Whatever it may be that we're doing. And also, you know, some millennials are more lazy. They're more entitled. They think things are going to just be handed to them. So that does play a role into this, okay? I don't want to put all the blame on the systems of America and say, oh, it's only because of that millennials aren't doing so great, because millennials are the best and they're so hardworking. Of course not, okay? Millennials they have a lot of problems themselves and things that they need to figure out and work on together. But in terms of what's going on in this country, things that why they feel so disenfranchised by this country is because of things like globalization, because of things like outsourcing, okay? You can go get a TV, okay? Like, think about the cost of a TV, like, I don't know, 50 years ago when TVs were starting out. Is that when TVs were starting out 50 years ago? I don't know. I'm only 23 years old, so I don't know. But we can ask
Same.
we can ask Same. We can ask Craig. He's about 50.
Right.
And he can tell us of TVs. Anyway, the price of TVs, things like that, you know, things that are like made in China, the price for those kind of things has totally gone down. Like essential, or not essential, but, you know, entertainment things that we don't necessarily always need, things for our houses. The prices of those kind of things have totally gone down because we've outsourced them, and globalization has made it so that people can just build these things very cheaply in different countries. But the prices of things in America have exponentially gone up. The price of housing, okay? Think about bad government policies like rent control. Housing has skyrocketed in recent years, where it's in any of the big cities. I mean, it is so expensive to live here. I mean, in Los Angeles, I mean, I live in a one-bedroom apartment and I pay, you know, like $2,500 a month, which is incredibly expensive to me. And it's like, it's horrible that that's how I have to live. Granted, you can get one, you know, a little cheaper than that, but, you know, it's still very, very expensive. And that's how it is in all of these major cities, whether it's you know, in a left-wing state or a more conservative state. It's very expensive to live in these urban cities. And so housing costs have totally gone up. The price of education has totally gone up. The government getting involved in the student loan program was one of the worst things to ever happen to this country. It's made it so that the cost of education has gone up so much, way past the rate of inflation, where now all these young people have these loans from the federal government for their student loans, and they're not getting them from regular banks. They're not getting it from their parents. They're taking it out, from the federal government, and it's costing us a ton of money, taxpayers a ton of money, and it's also costing them a ton of money, where the price of education has totally gone up. So they're in debt because of that. Cost of healthcare also going up in this country as well. Despite, you know, America still having a free market system in a lot of ways, we still have a lot of problems with the healthcare industry in our country. Bad government policies, again, which have done that and have made healthcare costs go up in a lot of places in America, which has also been terrible. So the things that you don't really need, like a TV, is gone cheaper, but the things that actually, you know, mean the most to you, housing, education, healthcare, these things have all gone up in prices, okay? So when you hear conservative talk about, you know, we just need to let the market figure these kind of things out, and a leftist come and say we need socialism, because socialism, you can get all these kind of things for free, who do you think that a young person who's graduated from college, or, you know, maybe not even graduated from college, but doesn't have very much money and everything's so expensive, who do you think that they're going to side with? They're, of course, going to side with the leftists, because the leftists are promising them things for free. They're saying you can have free healthcare, you can have free education, you can have potentially free housing or limited, you know, different types of housing. So, of course, people are going to side with the people who are offering them tons of free stuff versus the conservatives who say, you know, capitalism is going to figure it all out. But crony capitalism has gotten us into this situation in the first place. The only really big thing that, you know, these politicians have done for conservatives in office as of recent is, you know, these business tax cuts. But these business tax cuts, I mean, these politicians are in the back pocket of all these different businesses, and so they just keep exporting their products, or having their products be made across seas, not in America. And so then people in America don't have a ton of jobs. They don't have the opportunities that they once had. You know, we talk about as conservatives about, you know, pick yourself up by your bootstraps and go and start a small business or do something for yourself. And of course, America is still the best place in the world to do that, and there is tons of opportunity. But the opportunity is not there like it was. Think about how many jobs right now are based in tech in America. After the 2008 financial crisis, almost all of the wealth, like 80% of the wealth, you know, recovered from that, went into the 10 largest cities in America. and those are all major metropolitan hubs. And all of these major cities are really developing in tech. That's like the biggest thing. So tech is being huge, and you have some 40-year-old guy who drives trucks and is now his job is threatening to be automated. What kind of other opportunities does he have if we take all the jobs in America and we send them overseas? What opportunities does he have? So I think there's a big problem with what's going on because, again, think about lifting yourself up by your bootstraps. You're a young person, you want to go start a carpet business or a lumberjack business. I don't know, not a lumberjack business, like a wood business. I'm just using an example, okay? But that could, the gates of entry for that are so much harder because first, the government policies have put so much regulation in place that makes it so difficult to start a small business that it can be nearly impossible unless you already have a lot of capital or investors to come in and help you. And secondly, these big corporations that, again, these politicians, all these lobbyists are taking money from are all in the back pocket. Or are basically just going to come and eat the lunch of all these different small companies trying to start. Home Depot will come and undercut all these smaller businesses that are trying to start up as quickly as they spring up. So I know I'm kind of ranting a little bit about this, but I do think it's really important about what's going on. And I think that the biggest thing that we can do as conservatives is to not just say, capitalism is going to fix everything, because crony capitalism has gotten us into this mess in the first place where young people are feeling disenfranchised with this country, which is why they want to turn to socialism, because things have gotten so expensive, because so many politicians have no backbone and don't stand up for the things that we actually want them to stand up for. The conservative policies, the conservative ideas that we believe in, they don't actually stand up for these things. They make short-term decisions that last maybe 6 months to a year. They're thinking about the next campaign, and they're not doing anything to actually help us. And I think that's really sad. Are you sad, Nikki?
Yes.
Thanks. I just needed to get some confidence on that you are also sad.
I am.
But yeah, America has been hollowed out because of this, with all the jobs going into tech and people not having the same opportunity. The middle America, all the small towns in America, they're being hollowed out. And it's a really sad thing. It's a really sad thing. I think the biggest thing that we need to do now as conservatives is push for bringing jobs back to America, okay? I know that's an anti-free market thing to do, okay? I know that people always say that. They say, oh, well, these companies can make it way cheaper in China. You should let them do it in China. But you are destroying this country, in my opinion, by doing that. By letting all of these ginormous companies make all of their goods in China, you are destroying America. You are destroying this country. Sure, yeah, it's good for some company here to make their supplies in China. It makes them a lot of money. But what does that do for us here in America? It does absolutely nothing for us. It does absolutely nothing. We need to bring the jobs back to America. I think it's the most important thing that we can do right now. I really believe in that. So, yeah. I think that's what I wanted to say about that. That's probably good enough. Craig, I hope you enjoyed that. I'm sure I missed some things and had more things to say about it. And I hope if you guys have any questions about that, please drop them below, and I hope I can answer some more because, again, I've been working on a lot of other stuff recently. We have the new mini documentary that we're working on, all about climate change and some other things that I'm working on, which I can't say. But it's very exciting stuff, and so I've just been really busy. And so, putting all the things together for the podcast, it was hard to get everything together today, but we did as quickly as we could. So, okay, but I'd love to answer you guys' questions now. What do you guys have for me? Nikki, you put your questions that people asked in the comments down below, and let's start looking at them. But let me get some water first. It's very important. Okay. Teresa McComas Touchstone said, "What happened with Land O'Lakes?" Land O'Lakes is right here on my wall. I have my good little Indian friend right here on the butter. I am a big supporter of Indian Land O'Lakes. But now, this is an ancient relic. Actually, one of you guys sent it to me. Remember, if you want to send me stuff, PRAGERU.com/contact if you have any ancient relics that you'd like to send me. But this is, someone sent it to me, and it was very nice of them. But now all the new Land O'Lake butters have no Indian woman on it. Or I guess I should say Native American. Is that racist?
Better.
Yeah. Okay. The Indian woman on it is no longer present. She's no longer present on there, and that's why I have the Aunt Jemima too, because they've tried to cancel these things because they're racist. But I guarantee you, I said this almost every single episode, that if you go and ask the people who these things actually offend or are supposed to offend, they're not going to get offended by it. No one was offended by having this lady on the front of a butter thing, I bought this butter because of that. I thought it was cool. I was like, this lady on the front is like cool. She's like, represents something that I think is like amazing. I like look up to her, or not, not necessarily look up to her. You know what I'm trying to say? Where I'm like, I think that this is like a cool package of butter. It's good marketing on their part. And now they're removing it, and now I'm not going to buy Land O'Lakes butter anymore. Nikki's laughing. You guys know what I mean. I look up to the Land O'Lakes Indian butter lady. She is my absolute role model. I love her. And I look up to Aunt Jemima too. I look up to them both. Uncle Ben's rice. I look up to all of them.
It's just because they're so short, Will.
Yeah, that's exactly right. They're not role models. I'm just very short. I am 5'9".
You look up to everyone.
I do look
even
up to
as they're a
everyone.
bottle.
Yeah. Well, I
Those
actually
shelves are
do.
high, man. You gotta reach really
Yeah,
high
well-
in the grocery store.
Yeah, no, I asked someone to get them for me. I have to call the... You have all the sounds on there, huh? I asked an attendant to come and help me. But anyway, it was cancel culture that tried to get rid of all these things on the front of the Land O'Lakes, on the front of Aunt Jemima, Uncle Ben's rice, things that people aren't really offended by, but that, once you make a hullabaloo, what is the word? You know the word?
Hullabaloo?
Hullabaloo, right? That's a word. Or you make a scene about anything like that, then of course they're going to want to take it down because everything is racist nowadays. Okay. Let's see this one. Carrie said, "Hello from the nerd in Idaho. Today's question is on the silly side, hamburgers or hot dogs. You look nice, by the way." Oh, Carrie, thank you. I appreciate that a lot. I don't have my glasses on today. I have my contacts in. If you guys didn't know, I have a very rare eye illness, which makes it very difficult for me to see sometimes. So there's a fun fact of the day. But definitely hamburgers. Hot dogs are disgusting. Anyone who says they like hot dogs it's gross. Okay, hot dogs are, what is it, like just pressed up disgusting
Let's
meat
not talk about it.
wrapped
No.
wrapped in a intestine?
No.
It's disgusting. Okay. Yeah, Lynette Nelson said, "My husband works downtown Portland next to the Fed building, and one of his coworkers was attacked going from one building to another." Yeah, I don't understand. You have all the leftists going on and saying, "Oh, it's a conspiracy theory, and these are all peaceful protesters, and people are going and trying to, just say we support Black Lives Matter or want to defund the police." It's like, no, these people are violently attacking people in the streets of Portland. It is not, and that's not just a one-time thing. It's not just an anomaly. It's happening all over the city. So yeah, I totally believe that happened. I hope that he's okay. Dan said, "Will, I'll rent you a 2-bedroom with yard and garage for $950 a month." Dan, that's so sweet of you. I would love to come and live there. So thank you, Dan. I'm staying in LA though, so it'd have to be LA. Tucker M. Dowd said, "I'm new to you. What's your background?" I have no background, primarily. I dropped out of college, and that was the most important thing that I did. I wanted to drop out of college because I saw how terrible they were to anyone with a different point of view, and I pretty much was never a political person until I went to college, and that's when I said, once I got there and realized how terrible it was and how my common sense values actually ended up being conservative, I knew that I couldn't stay there anymore, and I knew I could do more work to try and save America and help educate people being outside of college versus being in it. So I dropped out and made some videos, and PragerU ended up picking me up and flying me out to LA, giving me a job, and now I've worked for PragerU for the last 2.5 years, creating videos, mini documentaries, doing this podcast. This is episode number 8, so we've been doing this for almost 2 months now, the podcast, and also other things that I do, social media marketing, working with our student program, Prager Force, and yeah, that's my thing. I don't know if I want to answer the first part of this question,
I almost took
but
it up.
I guess I'll say it. Jay, don't say it.
I don't know.
It's
weird.
funny.
Yeah.
It's
Go for it.
No, I'm not gonna
No,
say it.
no,
You
I'm
say
serious.
you say it.
You're really hot, Will.
Yeah, I didn't want to say that part. Well, just because their name is Jay, and I didn't know if it was a man or a woman.
It shouldn't matter.
It shouldn't. That's right. We're very progressive over here. These things don't matter to us. Jay said, "You're really hot, Will. Thank you. Do you think systemic racism exists? Whatever your stance, what's your evidence?" No, I don't think systemic racism exists in the sense that people don't have the same country. Everyone has the same opportunity in this country. The main privilege that you can have in this country is pretty much the wealth that you're born into or the circumstances that you're born into. You know, these are things like having two parents, you know, being born while your parents are actually together. Things like that mean a lot more than the color of your skin. There are white people who live in very poor areas who do very badly in their lives because they didn't have those kind of things growing up or when they were born, you know? So there are different types of privileges that come around this country, but I don't think that America is a racist country as a whole. I think that we are probably the least racist country in the entire world. And I think a lot of people would agree with me on that. Not the left, maybe. They think we're all slave owners and KKK members, but I think most rational people would agree with that. And if you just go to any other country around the world, I feel like you would see that America is truly the best place to live, where you have the most opportunity as someone who is black or, you know, a woman or gay, whatever it may be, that you have the opportunity to make your life what you want it to be. Okay. Okay. Okay, yeah, I think I'm going to end it here today. Guys, my tongue is hurting from this canker sore. And Nikki is also tired from all the work she's been doing here today. Really good work. Give a big round of applause to Nikki. Thank you, Nikki. Yes, thank you. We really appreciate it. Again, sorry about the audio on the stuff. Sorry about the audio on the stuff earlier today with Ami, and I hope that didn't detract too much from what we had going on and what we were talking about. Also, remember, if you do enjoy this podcast, please give it 5 stars on the Apple Podcasts app. You can listen to it there at 11 a.m. PST tomorrow. That's when they come out. So if you missed part of this and you want to go back and listen, you can do that at 11 a.m. tomorrow. It's also on Spotify, Google Play, and clips of this go up on my Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, everything else, and my social media handle is right up there, at the Will Witt. You can also follow PragerU, and remember, text back the blue, one word, to 64600 to support our campaign for the police. Thank you so much for listening, guys. I appreciate it. I might not be here next week. It's very sad. I'm going to film in I'm going to film in Houston. For this mini documentary. So I don't know if I'll be doing a podcast next week. If I will, it'll be on the road, and it won't be with Nikki again, thank goodness. But other than that, that's about all I got this week, guys. But remember, follow me on social media so you can know that if I'm going to do a podcast next week, I'll be updating you guys. So that's about all we got, guys. Thank Nikki. Thank you. And